Hey everyone, it's me Imran Aftab, motivator speaker. So today I'm going to take up the issue or the topic is stress management. Actually, word is getting more complicated nowadays, especially in the present scenario of the COVID-19. All the stakeholders and the leaders are exposed nowadays because they are having all that issues and problems which they people are encountering with great afflictions and difficulties. And another thing is this, the study shows that actually the biggest killer in this world is stress. So before taking up this very issue in a detailed manner, I would like to have certain sort of things which is more important to know. That actually the stress management is about increasing productivity and operate at peak hours. Means that if you are operating, if you have some sort of the problems in life, if you have some problems in your daily basis routine life, so you may consider it's at the peak levels. So at that moment, if you are increasing your productivity of mind with the right way at the right time, then it's more important to know for that. Because everything is just known that the power of positive thinking makes you stress-free. So it is said the power of positive thinking makes you stress-free. So before going to, we will have a long details regarding that the stress management techniques. Before that, I will let you know the things which is which have different importance and different areas of understanding for you people as well. So first of all, we will discuss the different types of stress which we have to encounter in our daily basis lives. So one stress is the positive and the other is negative. Actually, the positive stress is always a motivator. So I said the positive stress is always a motivator because it gives you a little bit different type of motivations regarding if you are to go to the new job, and on the last night you are very enthusiastic and you are unable to sleep. So this we can say it's a positive type of stress. And likewise, if you are going to buy the new home on the next day, if you are going to have some other IQ test or some competitions on the next day, you feel that you are over enthusiastic of that particular event which is going to be happen on the next day. So that type of stress, whatever you feel, whatever you have on that time, this is called the positive stress. So the positive stress has some good and the positive aspects on your behavior or your personality, and as well as on the particular task which you're going to fulfill it on the next day. So likewise, it is said that I can say that if a person is responsible, he can take pain, because the responsibility makes you habitual of doing something with the perfect level. So definitely a perfect man feels stress, and that is a positive stress. So normally it is said that if you are responsible, so you will take pain, and ultimately the cost of stress is success. If you are taking stress of something, ultimately you will be successful. So it will lead you towards success for that. And the other thing which I will discuss with the types of in the category of types of success is the negative stress. The negative stress is a burdensome, or that burdensome stress will ultimately have a detrimental effects on your health. It will have an interminable, it would ultimately lead to the interminable loss of health. Because for example, if somebody have some loss of some loved one, or have a loss of some job, or have a loss of some other thing which he owns up to the extent of his heart or mind. So if something is lost, so he feels burden, and ultimately that burden is a stress, and that stress is negative stress. So types, there's positive and negative stress. The positive is a motivator. It motivates you, it gives you energy, it gives you potential, it explore your faculties, it makes you more vulnerable to the negativities all around. And the negative is a burden, and that burdensome is harmful for the body, for the mind, and ultimately towards the behavior. The next I am going to start with the sources of stress. First we discuss the types, then I am going to start with the sources of stress. The thing is that nobody in this world is leading the friction-free life. The friction-free life is that type of life where all the people do have to encounter with the little bit sort of problems in his or her life. That problem may be of different types. That problem may be of different aptitude, may be of different harmony, may be of different types of situations, in different situations for that. So nobody in this world can lead a friction-free life. Ultimately, somehow, little bit or more, one have to encounter any type of issues. So sources of stress. Normally, what I have the study regarding that, there are 4 type of sources of stress: environmental, social, interpersonal, psychological, mental, and intrapersonal. So actually the social or interpersonal is the same thing, and the environmental, mental or intrapersonals, I can say they were the same thing. So first of all, I will take up the environmental stress, environmental sources of stress for that. So environmental sources of stress, we should have of different types, from the heat, the noise, the overcrowdedness, the pollutions, the weather, means that there's a heat outside and there's a noise. We can have the social stress, environmental stress regarding that. The overcrowdedness on the roads and somewhere else where you go, you feel a little bit stress. And pollution is also a type of stress. The weather is also a type of stress. Sometimes some people do like rain, some people don't like rain, some people like the ice, the snow, is the storms and all that sort of thing. That type of environments, that type of weather do have an impact on the personality, and then it's a stress. So I can say this is an environmental stress. So the next is the social or interpersonal stress. That type of stress we do have to encounter from some relationships, family, jobs, co-workers, teachers, friends, and all that. If somebody do have some reservation with the relationships, if somebody do have some the family problems or issues, if body have the job place issues, co-workers, the clash of personality with the co-workers, and some sort of reservations with the boss, even some sort of reservations with the teacher even. So that type of stress which we face in our daily life, that is, we can say, the social or interpersonal stresses. The next is the psychological. The psychological, throughout the world, almost 60 or 70% of the people in the world have to encounter with the poor nutrition. So in the psychological stresses, the poor nutrition is important, lack of exercises, drugs, sleep, aging, infections and diseases. So these type of stresses have a deep psychological effect on the personality of the person. Nobody in this world can avoid from that type of things, but there are some solutions to overcome it. But even then, one feels the psychological stresses for that. And the next is the mental and intrapersonal. Actually, the mental and the intrapersonal, we can say that the cognitive resilience in do have some impact. So cognitive resilience is also a mental issue regarding that. So the cognitive resilience, mental or intrapersonal, almost the same things. I will discuss later on the detailed effects of the cognitive resilience. So in that category, the stresses of different types of, likewise, the unrealistic attitude develops, some personal sensitivities are developed, the negative self-talks, then the negative behavior is seen. Because if somebody do have some stress, that stress is reflected in the thinking, and if it persists, then ultimately it leads to the behavior changes. The sources of stresses are environmental, social, psychological, and mental. So these are the detailed aspects, the detailed study of the sources of stress. But we can encounter with all that. We do have some therapies to overcome all that sort of sources which we have an encounter in the day-to-day life. So after discussing with the types of stresses and the sources of stress, now I'm going to discuss with the symptoms of stress. So symptoms of stress is very important, because everything in this world, whatever we encounter normally, or any problem which we face, it does have some symptoms for that before that, and then we can go for its therapy or go for the treatment. So symptoms, to understand the symptoms of something is more important to know. So in this case, the symptom of stress, so it does have also some symptoms, and the three symptoms is very important. The emotional, we can say the cognitive, and the physical, and the behavioral. Emotional and cognitive is related to the mind, because the deeper you go, the worse it gets. If you go deep into the thing, if you will criticize something deeply, if you go deep into the stress, if you evaluate the things, if you visualize the thing to the deeper extent, to the maximum extent, or maybe it will have some problem for you in the long run, or in the coming in the near future for that. So that's why I say that the deeper you go, the worse it gets. That means that emotional and cognitive mental approaches should necessary to realize. If your mind is in your control, you can have all the possibility that you can bring all the problems or stresses under control, slowly and slowly, or maybe at once. And if we see that a person who has some emotional stresses, how we can judge? We can judge it through that person is frustrated one, that person is moody nowadays or at that time, so irresponsive, irritated, is self-esteemed, low self-esteem, something is observed. The hopelessness, the pessimism, the forgetfulness, and disorganized attitude or indecisiveness or sadness may be observed in that person, to whom we say that he has some emotional problem or emotional stresses. The next thing is the physical. The physical symptoms are very easy to understand. Apparently we can see that that person is encountering with some sort of physical problems, and that is all due to stress. So in that category we can say the neck and back pains, and the heartburnness, and the indigestions, the palpitations, the appetite loss, and the headaches, and no desire for sex, and all that sort of type of things which is observed, and this we can count in the category of physical symptoms of stress. And next is the behavioral symptoms of success, attitude, behavioral changes. For example, if we go for some person who is in a stress, definitely we can observe that his thinking is going to be affected with that stress. And if his thinking is going to be affected with that stress, ultimately his behavior will change with the passage of time. So that behavior change is observed, or we can judge apparently with these type of symptoms, or these types of gestures. We can say that he or she is feeling a change in the appetite, means somebody would like to eat too much, somebody would like not to eat too much. If he or she is in stress, one can like to live in procrastinations, or avoiding some gathering, or having some irresponsible attitude, or impatience. Aggressions can be observed in that type of persons. So he may be a critical one, he may be a you may say lack of sleep, he may face lack of sleep. So in the behavioral symptoms of stress, we can observe the procrastinations, avoiding responsibility, change in appetite and impatience, aggressions, and to be a critical one. So these things we can see that it is symbols of stress. So this emotional, physical, and behavioral changes can be counted in the symbol of stress. So ultimately, I would like to say that if you don't take time for stress management, it will cost you more in the long run. Mean that you must pay attention. You must take time for your personality. You must take time for stress management. And if you will not do it, it will cost you more in the long run. Mean you have to face the problems. You will some symptoms will be observed or may come in your physique or in your attitude or in your behavior. So this is more important for that. This is the thing which we normally have some observations in our studies and in the studies of the world, that 80% people's everyday life, in everyday life, have to encounter different types of stresses, and different therapies are there. Different issues are solved on the daily basis in some persons, and some persons stress becomes chronic for that. So means that the stress is ultimately only due to the lack of management. So lack of self-management actually leads towards stress. So lack of self-management actually leads towards stress. If a person do have some disorganized sort of life, disorganized sort of lifestyle, so maybe he can become, or maybe he can encounter with that type of stress. So the lack of self management leads towards stress. And then another thing, in the daily basis, on the day-to-day life, if a person sometimes is operated by materialism, he can face stress. So materialism also in this society has become the main cause or source for stress. Okay, now I'm going to discuss, previously we discussed the types and the sources and the symptoms. Now I'm going to discuss the things by which we can have the stress management. So these are called as stress management techniques, and these stress management techniques are 5 types, and I would like to say it the 5 R's: the relax, the regenerate, the reward, the recognize, and resolve. So first I will discuss with the relax. Relax mean if you are in a stress, so you must try to evolve some sort of strategies. Likewise, go for the 8-hour sleep, continuous 8-hour sleep, and a little bit relaxations on our job places, and a little bit, you may say, a little bit gestures from the co-workers, positive gestures from the co-workers as well. Have some harmony on the job places, and even a break during the job places. So these we can say that by which, or by that type of things, or using that techniques, you can say that you are a little bit relaxed. So this is a relaxed technique. The next technique is that of regenerate. So regenerate is that you must try to evolve some things by which you may overcome that stress, and by using hiking, walking, yoga, meditations, and music, certain sort of things. So if you will evolve or become the part, or make the part of your life, that type of techniques, you may regenerate. You can regenerate your stress. You can regenerate your emotions. You can regenerate your motives. You can regenerate your behavior by using the technique of regeneration, and that regeneration will be helpful to mitigate the effects of stress on your mind or your body. So regenerate, walking and yoga and meditation, these are, or the listening music, or favorite music, or favorite movie, or even, so whatever you like, whatever are things which gives you relax, you can do it, and it will be helpful to regenerate your attitude and behaviorisms. Next is the reward. So the reward is more important thing. The reward is that whatever you are doing, you must evaluate it. Celebrate your accomplishments. Cheer up. Thanks to God. Honor the struggle. Be proud on your own doings. Or be proud in a person or you are. Be proud that you are a person. You have some abilities, you have some potentials to do. So reward yourself. Try to reward yourself. Try to understand what you have done. Even you have done the very small thing, you must appreciate it. Even if you have some achievements, a little bit achievements, you must reward yourself. And on the other side, everybody should be thankful to God. Whatever you have, that is only given by God. So everybody must try to pray that the God may bless with more bounties and prevent from calamities. So this is more important for us. So reward yourself, evaluate yourself, understand the importance of yourself. Whatever you are, you have the abilities to do. You have the potential to do. You have the faculties, God-given faculties, social given society, whatever gives you. This is all the contributions. So figure out your issues and try to overcome the good things on you, on your mind, on your personality. So reward yourself. Everything which is possible, everything which is with you, you must say thanks for that. And this is the reward on yourself. This would be a good thing. This will accomplish your personality. This will accumulate your ideas. This will accumulate your thoughts. And ultimately you will become the good persons without having any stress for that. The next thing is recognize. The recognitions is more important. So to whom we recognize? We recognize our relationships, which is more important. We recognize our friends. We recognize our near and dear ones. So actually, this is our support system. So try to channelize your support system and recognize whatever the things are going on. Whatever the relationships you had with your kith and kins. Recognize the thing which is more important around you. Recognize your family members. Recognize your friends. Means the home you love, the home you take care. So if you will do that, you will come out from that stress. You will be in a position to overcome the stress, and it will be ultimately lead towards positive behaviorism. The next is the resolve. So it's up to you. So replace negative thoughts with some encouragements or with some exploration of new opportunities, or setting up your goal, setting up the deadline. So if you will change or replace your thoughts with encouragements, the exploration of new ideas, the new opportunities, the setting up your goal, deadline, it will increase your potential. It will be helpful to decrease the effects of stress. It will be helpful to decrease the negative effects of stress on your personality, your mind, or your thought. It is normally I say that just evaluate, just give the level to the stress from the level 1 to level 10. If you have a stress of the level 1, 2, 3, 4, it's okay, normal stress. It's happening with everybody else in this world or in this environment. But if your stress goes upon for 5, 6, 7, 8 or the 10th level, mean that you are about to have some extraordinary changes are going to be happening are going to be reflect in your personality or in your thoughts. So evaluate yourself. If your stress is at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 level, it's okay. Try to mitigate it as early as possible. But if it goes from 5 to onward up till 8, 9, 10, so you need to think about that. You need to rearrange your personality. You need to rearrange your daily routine life, because otherwise it will be more detrimental to health. So these were the things, the types of stress, the sources of stress, and the symptoms of stress. We discussed and elaborated it. In the next training, I will discuss with the others issues and the other related things which is more important of how to go for the stress management techniques. So thank you very much.